All right, welcome back, patriots, fellow American citizens. I'm going to try to do two videos tonight, and maybe three. We'll see, because there is an article I wanted to share too. But I really appreciate, and you heard me say this before, I really appreciate perspective. Some of you send me things. Some of you respond with text. Some of you respond through this channel. And then I've also challenged you, especially if you see things different. Hey, challenge me. And I'm so proud of our children. And this is one of the responses from our youngest. I asked if I could share this. He said yes. My thoughts, and this is in regards to a prophecy video, because if any of you have been looking up some of this stuff, there's a lot of people saying that they have these visions, they have this prophecy, prophetic word from God saying different things. And I had asked him what his thoughts were. So he said, my thoughts on the prophecy video, I think prophecies can be edifying to the church, but I don't want to focus on them. I want to focus on Jesus and what he has called us to do. That's the main takeaway of Mark 13. For example, don't be the fig tree that doesn't bear fruit. Be what we are called to be and focus on Jesus. Not the end time prophecies themselves, because it is futile, but on him, Jesus. So I take that advice for all prophetic words as well. See Jesus in them and then keep moving forward as we are called to. But on the word itself, I think the prophecy seems pretty general. The party creation part, I hope it doesn't happen. I don't want a bull moose party situation. This is talking about the potential for a patriot party. I just want principled men and women elected to lead, and I want to then focus on what I myself can do to be who I am called to be. Also a thought. I think Trump's fatal flaw is he is too much about himself. Great for branding and publicity, but it is bad for communicating principles. Looking at what he does, I love him. But how he talks, he rubs a lot of people the wrong way and even says things he shouldn't just to get people talking about him. That's my view. It's my opinion. His farewell address was great, and I'm lamenting how little I heard that from him over 4 years. The Republican convention and the Georgia runoff campaign were more about Trump than principles, and that's the fatal flaw. Also, I think Trump has changed the Republican Party enough. No need to make a new party. That's the vibe I get. And I asked permission to share that because I think that's fantastic that somebody in mid-20s can articulate those thoughts. And I do appreciate all of the opinions. I don't agree with 100% of what he wrote because I think that we can dissect that a little bit. But in general, for the majority of it, I do agree. Son, I'm proud of you. I also want to comment on a few quotes. You've heard that blood is thicker than water. Well, the full quote is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the wound. And so when people go through challenges, when people go through struggles, they form this bond that is thicker than just, again, that blood of that covenant. We've gone through this together. Than just having suffered something, the water of the wound. When people say that our country is more divided than ever, I think that is a slap in the face to the citizens that were part of the Union and to the Americans up until the point they seceded from the Union in 1861. To say that we are more divided today than at a time when there was an actual civil war in this country, that Americans were killing Americans, that families, brothers, fathers and sons were on the opposite sides of the battlefield, throwing hot lead, downrange. You're throwing as much lead as whatever rifle you had. And I even think about some guy named Gatlin that decided that he could end war. Remember, these are the best of good intentions go the wrong direction. The Gatling gun. We can stop war with the Gatling gun. And yet it was just used to really annihilate groups of people. The devil's breath, they called it. Another quote. Do not search for defining moments. They will never come. The moments that define you are already here. And I would add, and if for some reason you are special and they are not already here, then you make your own defining moment. I believe Alexander the Great or Julius Caesar, I'm not for sure which conqueror, but warrior nonetheless. Most men live lives of quiet desperation. If I could give you the sad face emoji, I certainly would do it at that point. We should not live lives of quiet desperation. We are not just surviving. We are, in America, we are thriving. The poorest in America live better than 95, 97% of all of the population on the planet. I know what you're going to say. Well, we got a lot of people that are homeless. We have a lot of mental issues that as a nation we have walked away from. I know in Michigan alone, we have very few state hospitals to take care of people with some mental illnesses. We've eliminated so many of them. A lot of that land's been redeveloped, though, either industrialized or a walking park. I don't know. Another conversation. You can be a victim of your life or the master of your life. That seems to be so poignant. And I think about that when I read Thomas Sowell. Man, great article today in the Daily Signal. We should all spend more time reading Thomas Sowell. And there's going to be a documentary here soon, too. We need to check that out. I think these are some powerful things that we should contemplate on a daily basis, those quotes. And I'm going to share one more article. So here it is. It's printed off. I have challenged you in the past to do your own research. Title 28, USC 3002, Section 15. The United States is a corporation and not a government. What they never taught you in high school civics class is that the United States of America is a corporation. See United States Code, Title 28302, Section 15, I guess, where it is stated unequivocally that the United States is a corporation. Washington, D.C. is a sovereign city-state, not bound by any laws or treatises that the other 50 states in the Union are. Just as the city of London proper is not part of England proper, and the Vatican is also a sovereign city-state. Each of these we just listed have their own police department. It does show in this picture the Trinity of globalist control. Vatican City and religion, City of London and finance, Washington, D.C., and the military power. All three are separate states, completely independent of their respective countries in which they lie. The people believed by most to be representing Americans in D.C. are immune from virtually all laws and treatises of the USA. And let me see, it's kind of cut off here. These corporate CEOs, known as congressmen and congresswomen, create laws and treatises. They are representing corporation known as the United States, which makes most of its profits off of wars, environmental destruction, and a fiat paper money system. The only reason this paper money has any value at all is because the USA and NATO force OPEC countries to exclusively sell oil with Federal Reserve notes, that's US dollars. Let me restate that one more time. The only reason this paper money has any value at all is because the USA and NATO force the OPEC countries to exclusively sell oil with Federal Reserve notes, that's US dollars. If they do not, they get Iraq or Libya or Afghanistan. The Bank of Israel, aka the Federal Reserve, a private corporation, prints and administers this fiat paper money worldwide, while the Washington, D.C. based International Monetary Fund and World Bank play video game economics with the rest of the world. Corporations are people with rights. See Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission 558 US 50 in the year 2010. And this is how your vote in November matters about as much as your life to these people. Title 28 USC 3002 Section 15 A, B, and C states that the United States is a federal corporation and not a government. Note the capitalization in this description, indicating the corporation, not the republic, including the judiciary procedural section. The de jure states in the form of republics and the de jure United States were subsumed or set aside by the Bankruptcy Act of 1933. All U.S. officers, and departments are working under a de facto status only under the emergency war powers. This new form of government is known as a democracy instead of a republic, being an established communist socialist order under the new governor of America, Congressional Record, March 17th, 1993, Volume 33, page H, 1303. It is established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved under the Emergency Banking Act, March 9th, 1933. 48 Statute 1, Public Law 89-719, declared by FDR. Being bankrupt and insolvent, HJRJ 192, 73rd Congress in session, June 5th, 1933, joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause, dissolve the sovereign authority of the U.S. and the official capacities of all U.S. government officers, and departments, and is further evidence in the U.S. federal government and is further evidence that the U.S. federal government exists today only in name, U.S. being in martial law since 1933, and as far back as Civil War Senate Report 93-549, that was in 1973. U.S. citizens declared enemies of U.S. by FDR, Executive Order 2040, and ratified by Congress March 9, 1933, 48 Statute 1. FDR changed the meaning of Trading with the Enemy Act of December 6, 1917, by changing the word without to citizens within the U.S. A legal name is a prisoner of war name fictitious nom de jour name for a non-living entity, also referred to as the straw man or transmitting utility. John Doe, name in all caps, which is format called Capitis Diminuto Maxima. Capitis Diminutio Maxima. My English, that pronunciation of that Latin term might not be good. It means maximum diminished status. It means that a man's condition changes from freedom to bondage and becomes a slave or item of inventory. Reference Black's Law Dictionary, Revised 4th edition, 1968. A fictional persona being surety of the debt as fiction in commerce, also known as ens legis, which means legal entity, it is a non-human and civilly dead. That is not you, unless you are fiction. Realize with your realize. And that is the end of that article. If you would like a copy of this, please reach out to me and I can get you a copy of that. What does all that mean? I mentioned to you many times. Please research the Banking Act of 1871 and the Banking Act of 1933. And then, if you think that there is no deep state, there is no man behind the curtain, as Toto exposed in The Wizard of Oz, then you and I should have a face-to-face discussion on why, if you did read and research the Banking Act of 1871 and the Banking Act of 1933 and researched information such as this, how you could come to any other conclusion, unless you just don't want to admit that we were wrong, that all of us were wrong. This could be somber, or let me read that last quote again. You can be a victim of your life or the master of your life. I am the master of my life because Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I am thriving. I'm not just surviving. I want you to be with me. We do need to seek the truth, though. We've been lied to for a long time. Together, let's continue to have conversations. I hope you find this interesting. For now, I am James Detroit, and I'm out.